let's look at this. Let's review a little bit from yesterday. Now, remember yesterday that we had we just gave you some information basically on how the pandemic, the coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic, how it was started in the early days. In the early days of the pandemic, there was a lot of misinformation that was given out. Now, that's understandable when you have a situation where you don't know about a virus or a sickness or a condition. So usually we try to say as little before we say too much. But in the case of Dr. Anthony Fauci, we find that he oftentimes would say one thing definitively by being the director of the NIH, National Institute of Health, and also he would say one thing as an authority, and then maybe a couple of days later, another week later, he would say something different. Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, you must understand, too, Dr. Fauci has been. Hey there, Beverly Wright Brinson. Good to have you on there. Put your comments down below. Share this. You got to understand that Dr. Anthony Fauci has been over the NIH over 40 years. He's back there with Reagan. And if you want to, this is just an aside, if you'd like to find out just how deeply involved he is in his job, his career. Number one, he's the highest paid government employee ever. $475,000 a year. He makes more than the president. That's how long he's been in there. Also, when the HIV and AIDS epidemic came in the 80s, he was a key person in handling that as well. Very interesting information. You see a pattern here, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about here COVID-19 and the coronavirus. So share this with somebody, let them know and what's going on. So now we see that he would oftentimes speak definitively depending on where he was. As I heard someone say, Dr. Anthony Fauci, I don't know how he was working because he was always on TV, always on somebody's podcast, always on video, always on YouTube, on Vice TV, HuffPost, you name it, NBC, ABC, CBS. He never met a TV camera he didn't love. So anyway, let me say one thing, and we're going to get into these emails, because his emails were by Freedom of Information Act requests from, of all places, BuzzFeed. And now we have over 3,234 pages of emails revealing patterns of cover-up, censorship, coordination, and control. All right? So there was a lot going on. Now here's the moment thing. We're going to deal tonight for a few moments here with the patterns of covering up. Dr. Fauci was doing some cover-up way back in the beginning. Now you must realize too here that someone said, if you don't learn from history, you're destined to doom to repeat it. So we want to get this information out here. So in the event that there's another pandemic, and there's another situation like this, like COVID-19 or worse, we can know that people are going to be held responsible. Now, I do have a comment here from MD Taylor. Let me see. Let me see if we get here on Twitter. Let me pull him up. MD Taylor 1979. That's Pastor Maurice. Hey, man, listen. Let me just say, let me read his comment. He said, hey, Rev, don't forget to mention what your boy is lied about as well. I'll try to catch some of your show today. What Pastor Maurice was talking about, he was saying that Trump lied. And therefore there was some misinformation. That is true. But Trump is gone. Fauci's still in. And there has been a hashtag that's been going around on Twitter, and all thanks to Senator Josh Hawley saying, fire Fauci. Okay? Let me tell you what Senator Rand Paul, who's really been nailing him, the tide is about to turn. The dam is about to break. Literally, we know that a floodgate of Fauci's emails will burst open to the public this week. And here we go. In this trove, 3,234 pages of emails. Can you believe that? Here's some of the findings. I'm going right here, and I'm going to source this information down below. Thanks to the guys there at CoreyDiggs.com for laying this out. We're going to deal with the cover-up. January 31st, 2020. Let's go there. January 31st, 2020. Still wasn't quite a pandemic yet, but things were already happening over in China. Let me just say this parenthetically, that even when I was watching what was going on in December in China, in Wuhan, and as soon as January came around, I was the first one to order masks. I had my mask on January 30th before there was even a mask mandate. Okay? But look here, January 31st, 2020. This email is from Kristen G. Anderson to Dr. Anthony Fauci. It says here, and I have the source on this, I'll put this down so you can see it for yourself. He said, the unusual features of the virus, talking about the coronavirus, make up a really small part of the genome. So one has to look real closely at all the sequence to see that some of the features potentially look engineered. What do you mean? In other words, it was engineered, it was crafted, it was created, it was modified. It did not come naturally from a bat in the bat cave or at the wet market in Wuhan. Dr. Fauci the next day, he responded, thanks, Christian, talk soon on the call. Now, Dr. Fauci was notified by Dr. Christian G. Anderson as early as January of 2020 that the virus could have been genetically engineered. And he followed up with the phone call. So he knew then, even though he's been saying for the last 14, 15, 16 months, no, it came from a bat in a bat cave or a wet market there in Wuhan. Now, here's one thing here. Let me show you something else here. 2 months after that email was sent, 2 months after that email was sent, Dr. Anderson reversed course and published his proximal origin paper where he helped shield Dr. Fauci and the NIH from potential probes into the gain of function funding. Gain of function funding. 5 months after publishing his paper, he received $1.88 million in funding from Dr. Fauci's organization, NIH. Now, let me go back. Let me say it again. The person who warned Dr. Fauci on January 31st that this looks genetically modified and engineered, 2 months later, changed their mind. And because they changed their mind, just coincidentally, their organization received $1.88 million in funding from the National Institute of Health. Following these email dumps last week, Dr. Christian Anderson began deleting over 5,000 of his Twitter tweets. He's still trying to push delete. Here's what you got to know. Just a little technical something here. If you want to see what somebody's tweets are before they delete them, or go to the archive. You get them all, even if they delete them. Anyway, and now Dr. Christian Anderson, because all these emails are coming out with his name and email and everything on there, he has now closed his Twitter account. Somebody said, Look at this, February 1st, 2020. That Dr. Anthony Fauci to a guy named Hugh Achencloth. It is essential we speak this week. Keep your cell phone on. Read this paper as well as the email that I'll forward to you now. We will have tasks that must be done today. In other words, he was talking about the article that was saying that they believe it came from the lab. Now, let's go back. Let's review here for a moment. What is gain of function research? Gain of function research is where in the labs, in level 3 and level 4 labs, which there are only about a few of them in the world. One is in Wuhan, China. One is also in Fort Detrick in Maryland, and also one in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and also in Texas. Gain of function research is where they take viruses and everything, and they research, and what they do, they juice them up. They juice them up and manipulate them to where they will be deadly, so they can know if something like this did occur, they would know how to combat it. It's kind of like a little mad scientist Frankenstein stuff, if you ask me. It was so dangerous that President Obama stopped the funding of it in 2015 to 2015. Okay? But 11 days before President Obama got out of office, 11 days before Donald Trump became president, in January, someone, it's been redacted, restarted the funding from the NIH to the Wuhan lab for gain of function research. And so that's how we get where we are right now. Now, look at this email he says here, Dr. Fauci to Hugh as per prior email, look at this, read this, mining coronavirus genomes for clues to the outbreak's origin with a mention of the NIH grant recipient EcoHealth Alliance. The EcoHealth Alliance is the conduit by Peter Daszak runs. They gave the grant to EcoHealth Alliance, and EcoHealth Alliance gave it to the Wuhan lab. So it looks like it's clean here. Okay, let's keep going. Put your comments down below. Put your questions down below. You can also text me at 813-303-0151. Give me some likes. Give me some information. Give me your comments. Do you agree or disagree? It's just interesting because one thing about it, many of us have had loved ones that have been died from the COVID-19 virus. Many have known people that have been sick with the COVID-19 virus. And I have a friend right now in Florida, Central Florida, that is in the hospital, 35 years old, with the coronavirus right now. So keep her in prayer. Watch this. Then Fauci, this is still February 1st, 2020, Fauci then attended a confidential teleconference with Dr. Christian Anderson and others regarding the coronavirus sequence comparison. It appears that Dr. Fauci and others were worried that the virus could have been genetically engineered and that the research grant that they gave from the NIH could have contributed to that research. We were giving them hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this research. He says in his email, getting ready for the confidential call, information on discussion is shared in total confidence and not to be shared until agreement on the next steps. In other words, let's not talk about what we're talking about. Let's keep it all in-house. Then we will agree on what we're going to say and we can have it. Please mute your phones. I'll be on email throughout. Email Paul or I if you have any problems. If you can't make it, I look forward to it. And that's where they had that phone call on February 1st, 2020. Now, let's speed up. Let's go up a little bit. Now, April 18th, 2020. This is from Peter Daszak, the EcoHealth Alliance director and part of the, watch this, the WHO investigation into the virus origins. I'm going to stop right there. Peter Daszak, who was in charge of the EcoHealth Alliance, which was the actual conduit that the grant money from the NIH, with our taxpayer money, went to EcoHealth. EcoHealth gave the money to the Wuhan lab. That same guy who was there in Wuhan helping with the gain of function research was also put into the WHO investigation on where the virus came from. WHO, WHO, the World Health Organization. Now, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest? That's like putting an alcoholic, telling an alcoholic to do the inventory at the ABC liquor store. Okay? Look at what Peter Daszak said. Let's see what he said here. Let's see. Let me make sure I get this right. All right. From Peter Daszak. I just want to say a personal thank you on behalf of our staff and collaborators for publicly standing up and stating that the scientific evidence supports a natural origin for COVID-19 from a bat-to-human spillover and not a lab release from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So he did his study, his investigation, and he determined, because he was one of the ones doing the gain of function research, he determined that it didn't come from the lab where he gave them money and I was working. Despite all the evidence Fauci received regarding the possible genetic engineering of the virus, Fauci lied and publicly stated that the evidence supports a natural origin. Peter Daszak also later thanked Dr. Fauci. Now here's the funny thing about that, if you want to call it funny. There is a video which we will get to later on this week. 6:30 Eastern. 6:30 p.m. Eastern. There is a video where Peter Daszak is talking, being interviewed about how he was working on the gain of function research. And they actually took, I'm going to give you this piece of it, they took 5 different types of viruses and merged it into that coronavirus. It had an HIV delivery system. Where it would attack the lungs, it would attack the male testicle. All this stuff. They put 5 different entities in there along with the virus. Now, remember, coronavirus is like the common cold or flu. But when you start to doctor it up and Frankenstein it, then you end up running into what happens. And if it slipped and escaped out of the lab in Wuhan and spread all over the world, who do you think is responsible? Well, definitely China. Who do you put your comments down below? Let me know. Who do you think is responsible? China? Do you think Dr. Fauci is partially responsible or fully responsible? Do you think Dr. Peter Daszak is responsible? Let me know, because here is where the cover-up began. Before we were even on lockdown. February 1st, January 31st, 2020, February 1st, February 2nd, all the way through April was when the cover-up began. Fauci lied, people died. We're going to do some more of this later tomorrow. Here, if you would like to support this podcast, you can definitely send a love the offering, a donation to CashApp, $, RobCarpenter2. Or you can do it through PayPal, paypal.me/RobCarpenter2. Also, if you would like to text me and put your comments and share your thoughts, you can also text me at 813-303-0151. Email me at Fauci at RobCarpenter2.com. Also, on the most social media sites, RobCarpenter2, contact me, reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, BitChute, and the big announcement, starting next week, we will be on the platform YouNow Live. Go to your app store, Android or Apple, and go download YouNow Live. Look for me, RobCarpenter2. Ask to add me as a friend. Next week we'll also be here on Facebook and on YouTube and other platforms, but also exclusively there on YouNow Live, where we'll be able to interact. The good thing I like about YouNow Live is those of you who will become on, we'll be able to bring you on live during the broadcast to share your comments. Isn't that something? It's more than just calling in. We're going to video you in, all right? Listen, I'm excited that we're getting this information out. I need your support. I need your consistency with being on here. Spread the word. This is some interesting stuff, y'all. This is some interesting stuff. And listen, we got to find out what's going on. Do you think Dr. Anthony Fauci should be fired because he lied and people died? Or do you say, hey, leave him alone. He's all right. He did the best he can. Oh, man, I tell you. Listen, I've enjoyed it tonight. I look forward to seeing you here on Real News Talk Today with Pastor Robert. Tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and on Take the Lay on other platforms. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.